Okay, so once you have selected the template and put in your client's details, the next step is then to edit each of the meals individually. So to do that, we just need to go to the Meals tab, and from here we'll see a breakdown of all of our meals for the day. Now for each of those meals, we can change the time of the meal. So simply by clicking on there and scrolling left and right, we're able to change the time of the meal. And also what happens is, for example, if I change this meal, currently the first meal is at 6 a.m., the second meal is at 9 a.m., but if I change this meal to say 11 o'clock, then notice what actually happens is it reverses the order of those meals. Okay, so if I went and changed it back to 6 o'clock now, it will reverse it back. So we can change the times of the meals. We can also change the name of the meal. So you can call it breakfast, you can call it meal 1, pre-workout meal, post-workout shake, whatever you want to call it. It's arbitrary. So we can name the meal from here. And once you're done naming it, just click tick. And then we can change the type of meal. So right now, for example, this is a protein and carb meal. So if we look at the macros on the side, this meal contains 49 grams of protein, 4 grams of fat, and 86 grams of carbs. So it's relatively higher carb, lower fat meal. Now if I went here and change it to a protein fat meal, notice what happens. The protein remains at 49 because we set that at the top, irrespective of the other macros. Now the fat becomes 38 and the carbs is 10. So that changes the ratio for that meal. Now if we go up the top here and look at our macros for the day, what actually happens is, again, the protein remains constant because we set that at the top, but now the fat intake for the day is increased while the carbohydrate intake for the day is decreased. Okay, now if I selected a mixed meal, this gives us the option to adjust the fat to carbohydrate ratio anywhere from 20-80 all the way up to 80-20. So it can be predominantly a higher fat, lower carb meal, or it can be predominantly a lower fat, higher carb meal, or it can be a mixed meal. So the default setting for a mixed meal is 50-50. So if I select that, you'll see now we have still 49 protein because we set that at the top irrespective of the other macros. Now the fat is 21, the carbs is 48. So it's an equal amount of carbohydrate and fat in terms of caloric spread. So again, as I said, we can edit this from here if I want more precision in terms of how much carbs and fats that particular meal has. And if you want to edit the protein, we can do that from the protein goal, or later, as we'll show you, from the calorie distribution tab. So we can do that pretty much for each of the meals. We can rename them, set the times, set the type of meal, and also what we can do here, we can copy a meal. So if we clone a meal, basically replicate that meal exactly, including the macro ratios and food choices for that meal. We can also delete a particular meal. So if we delete a particular meal, all the calories from that meal will be redistributed to the other meals. Okay, so you'll still hit the total for the day in terms of caloric intake because that was set at the top. We set that when we set the target. The protein intake for the day will also remain constant, but the rest of the calories, so the remaining fats and carbs, will be spread depending on the makeup of the meals or the remaining meals. So for example, if you had one carbohydrate meal and the rest were protein fat meals and you deleted that carbohydrate meal, well, basically those calories from that meal will now get spread evenly among the rest of the meals. But however, since their other meals are now protein fat meals and there's no carbohydrates, those calories will go towards fat rather than carbohydrates. So that will change the display of the dashboard at the top. And now lastly, from here we can also click into the menu and go directly to a particular meal where we can view the food options for that meal. So once we've set each of our meals, we've set the times, the names, the type of meal, we can then go in and specifically edit the foods for each of the meals.